So here's what I want to know is, would you like it if we just did like about 15 minutes of Q&A with Pastor Levi while we're here? Like, would you guys like that? So you got to have questions though. You can't be doing this to me and then just sit there and stare. I want to just do a little bit of Q&A. You may be seated. And how would you like to? Is there any? Okay. Anything.
You guys are the best. Thank you for helping me preach. Yeah.
So we could talk about what he just talked about, obviously, or we could talk about something to do with his church, something to do with any of the books that he's written, his family as a father, just anything that you'd like to talk about. And we're going to kind of set the clock so that we don't go too long.
Your ministry's on fire, and your family's growing, and your church is growing.
Yeah, but those kicks, though.
How
good does he look right now, head to toe?
You're moving forward and have a vision called on you. How are you maintaining your time with your family and growing that with your church?
Thank you. Great question. And out of the mist, too, because from here we can't see anything. That question came from nothing. It was like ex nihilo, right? The voice of God speaking over creation. Well, one way I do that is my daughter Daisy's here. So she came with me on this trip, so I have an intentional day with Daisy, and she's getting to be around your pastors, and she's getting to see this church. And we're on the plane this morning together, and we're at the mall. You know, she got to pick out a Lego toy, so she's getting to positive time with just Dad. And so it doesn't always look like getting on an airplane. That just happens to be the rhythms of my life. But I would say that intentionality, and first things first. So time doesn't get spent, time is spent. You spend your time, just like you spend your money. So first things first, and other things, if it get cut, the first never suffers. So my first dollar out of every 10 is going to the house. That's not to the mortgage, not to Verizon, to the house. And if there has to be wiggle room, God's not getting stiffed. Now, the same thing applies to my family. If something in my life gets jilted, it's not Jenny, and it's not the girls, and it's not Lennox. It's something else that gets jilted. So if it's my sleep, that's not great, but I would rather jilt my sleep than my family. So date night, family vacation, family day. I was telling Pastor Kevin at lunch about how when I go on vacation, I strip all my phone off all social media. Posts can be planned out in advance because there's tools that allow you to do that. It keeps like the donut mill making donuts, church online, hey, click the link, that kind of stuff. But on my family vacation, I'm not on social media. I'm building sandcastles and eating snow cones, you know? And so I take a date with Jenny, and it's not like, so I hear some people say, we'll do that like when we need it. We change the oil before the car is making a funny sound. And so when I wake up, the rhythms of my soul are important to me, and then my family's rhythm. So I'd say no matter how crazy my life is, those things come first.
So I want to jump in on this because I feel like that was a great question to ask, especially Pastor Levi sitting here, because right now I think he would readily say that is something on the forefront of his mind all the time, is getting that right. And I think that we do live busy lives in different ways. But I want to just tell you one example that I feel like was maybe even for this moment, but it just came into my mind and my heart this morning. And that is that Sheila and I recently moved into a smaller place. So this is the third place we've lived in the last 2 years. And we went from plenty and more than enough room to about half the size. And then we dropped down about a couple months ago or so. So our closets did not contain what the Lord has blessed us with over the years. So we had already gotten rid of a lot of stuff, but we moved into a home and the closets couldn't handle it, so clothes were everywhere. And so one of the guys from church here, his name is Norm, and Norm walked in our closet and he's like, no, we can get everything. We can get everything in here. I got to do some things. And we're like, no, did you go see all those clothes? He's like, no, not a problem. Like, I did. I saw them all. Like, not a problem. We get it all. Like, and our shoes too. Yeah, we get your shoes too. Like, we can get it all in here. And it's amazing to me how he walked into the same square footage of space. And because he knew what to do, and he knew how to organize it, he knew how to put it all together and how to package it, that our shoes fit, and our clothes fit, and everything fit. And I just think sometimes people are too quick to eliminate important things out of their life that actually God's blessed them with. They're too quick to say, oh, I can't do all of that, and they push things out of their life. Actually, if they would just work a little bit more attentively to fit it all in, it would be beautiful, it would be more organized, it would be complementary. Right. And so this morning, I was just thinking about that. God, help me, help all of our church family to understand that when there's opportunities that come your way to be a part of something, your children, you're taking them here, you're taking them there, they're involved in school things, school, but don't exclude church things. All of it fits together wonderfully in ways that we don't think it can fit if we're willing, to get in there and say, I'm not going to let this go. It's important in my life, and I can get it all in. So, little thought for you.
Also, I'm going to need Norm's number because my shoes don't fit in my closet.
Norm will help you out.
Any other questions?
What would you suggest for if you're on a new path with the Lord, but a lot of the people around you are not, and you want to be the light without getting connected with it, and also without hurting their feelings or, having them not want to be where you are?
That is an incredibly important question. And I would say,
I would like to believe that the Lord started talking to you about that last weekend when we were. I'm joking a little bit, but we did spend a little time on that. So
no, you guaranteed did, and I would say re-listen to that podcast. But I would say there's a difference between being in your life and speaking into your life. Mm-hmm. We want people in our lives who we can show light to. But you make sure that they are not the ones speaking into your life. The only one who can speak into your life is someone who's going where you want to be. Because whoever you let speak into your life, what gets into your ear gets into your heart. What gets into your heart gets into your whole body. And so the people that are speaking into your life are the people of the house of God, the people of your small group, the people on your pastors here, the team here. And it's funny, we were just saying, most people don't actually they call us pastor, but most people don't allow the leaders in the church to pastor them. Right. Because a pastor is a shepherd, and a shepherd is not just on a stage giving a sermon, but it's literally the shepherds, the under shepherds within the church that you should be coming to when you're making decisions and saying, as you're serving and doing all that, hey, here's what I'm thinking, what do you think? Hey, here's this. The person you're dating and all that should be happening within the church so that the people who are in the positions to lead can be observing. And you're saying, what do you see? Well, I don't know. Is he a guy from work? What are they going to see? If it's like, well, I saw him serving in Sunday school last week and he's exemplifying humility and patience and love, and those are the things you want in a good husband who's not just a good date for a great Instagram post, but it's going to be epic and sexy at 60 and a rockin' heart, right? Who's going to be, we should be picking people who are, my wife and I, we always laugh that when we met, we saw each other as people we'd want to grow old with. I want to get old with you. I don't want to just be fun when I'm young and everything's working great in my body. Here's the new tagline: find someone to marry who you'd want to grow old, ugly, and decompose with. Right? But still be psyched on it. Because like a fine wine, integrity, compassion, and kindness get better with time. And I got distracted from answering the actual question. But don't let the person be confused who speaks into your life with who's in your life, right?
Yeah. And I think the way that I made a comment last week about Jesus was a friend of sinners, but he didn't do life with the sinners. And I think that's the same thing said in a different way. Yeah. Like there were people that were definitely who he did life with. There was the disciples, there were those following him, and that's who he really did life with. And a lot of people, there's like, no, Jesus was friends with it, he hung out. Yeah, well, yeah.
He wasn't doing lines in the bar, in the club with them, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And there's so let me ask you, that's really good. That was really good. So let me maybe a little bit more to help answer your question, because I think that's a lot of people's question as they come to Christ, and that's one of the toughest decisions they make. So would you say that it's good in some cases where there's really a closeness that's expected? Would you say it's good to actually figure out how to let them know? Like I said, I think last week, at least in one of the services, like, I'm not asking you to be rude. I'm not telling you to be mean. I'm not asking you to, to go make some big bold announcement and with your Bible in your hand that you can't be my friend anymore. But is there a way? I don't know. I don't really know.
I think so. I think so. And I think that's why baptism is so important. It's a line in the sand. You're wet. You were dry. That's a pretty stark difference. And I would invite people to come to your baptism. And that's a little bit like the Cortez burning the ships. Yeah. So once you've given you put your faith in Christ, you tell your friends, you say, hey, I want you guys to come to my baptism. And you're going to find out who's there in your life and who is the prodigal son's friend. No one gave him anything.
Yep.
When the prodigal son came on hard times, no one gave him anything, the Bible says. Yep. They were there to spend the money and drink the vodka, but they were gone when it got hard. You tell your friends, hey, I'm getting baptized this Sunday. It would mean a lot to me if you were there. And then you have that line in the sand, like, there's going to be changes around here. I'm following Jesus now. And everyone saw that you were wet when you got out of that tub. Yep. You're a different person than you were getting in. So.
That's beautiful. I love that. And just take baptism as a metaphor for other things as well. Like the new normal is that you're in, the way that I think I said, the cross redefines who our family is.
Ooh, good.
So like your new normal now is to be with your new family. And your new normal is to be in church. Your new normal is to be a part of days like this. So if you'll not protect or guard or apologize for your new normal, whether it's baptism is the first one maybe, but maybe that's past you, but it's everything that you're embracing. It's being outward with it. It's being normal with it. It's being, this is my new life. I think what Pastor Levi is saying is really true, is that they'll begin then to have to react to you rather than you reacting to them.
And in a non-confrontational, loving way, you're inviting them to come with you on the journey.
Yep.
And always going to be there for them, always love them. You're not judging that they're not this, you're not better than them. And you say that, I'm not better than you. I'm arguably worse than you because I needed that grace so bad. But I love to have you come along. But being a one-way valve, well, your influence is going to pour out, but you're not going to allow them to influence you.
So let's, one more time, I thank you so much. It's meant the world to us.
Joy.
Love you. Really appreciate it.